Hello and good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for our second webinar for this webinar series, the Agency Advancement Program series. We are currently simply. I'm just going to begin in just a couple of minutes. Just going to allow some people to join if they're still waiting to join this webinar. So do give me just 2 minutes. We'll be right back. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much for joining us today. Welcome to the second webinar of our webinar series for the Agency Development Program. We are very happy to see you here. Thank you for joining us. My name is Farhan Ahmed. I'll be presenting today to you with regards to the topic of creating creative excellence. This is basically going to be about quick steps to maximize performance on search. Some of you are probably used to already marketing through search and are already aware that the search network is essentially the search platform includes Google and other search platforms, and search marketing involves specific dynamics by which users conduct search queries based on which you show advertisements to them. So search marketing is actually a very important part, is an integral part of the entire ecosystem of marketing. And our focus in this webinar and the next three as well will be specifically on search because there is a lot to talk about. Um, just to begin from here, I'd like to just bring your attention to this particular question. How many searches, how many billions of searches do you think happens on Google each day? Um, Already you can tell this is a huge number because it's in the billions, and this is a global number. The Google search platform actually has encompasses all over the world and does actually take up a big percentage and a big portion of online activity that users do conduct. Um, just so I don't want to keep you in surprise any further, the answer to that is 3.5 billion searches happen on Google each day. Now that's quite an astounding number if you really think about it. That's half the population of the world searching, half the population, the same amount as the half the population of the world searching just on a single day. So that's a lot of different searches. Um, we also can tell that from Google's side, we do observe that all of those searches, there's generally we see 15% of searches are actually new searches. So what that indicates is that the search ecosystem is growing, and has been growing quite exponentially and has grown to this point and is still continuing to grow. So that just hits home the point that I was making in the beginning, that how important the search ecosystem is for you to be part of when it comes to marketing your products effectively. So this was the global numbers. If you look at Pakistan specifically, Pakistani consumption of digital content is also no laughing matter. It's has seen quite exponential increases over the last few years, very recently, and the numbers stand as I'm showing right now here. We have about 100 million plus um, view video content viewed every day. This is 100 million hours. We have 70 million searches that happen just inside Pakistan every day. 70 million searches inside Pakistan every day. And more than a million of those are just related to the apparel industry. And this is just an example, just to show, just breaking down from that 70 million, how important it is just for a specific industry. If you're in the apparel business, this factor, this number would be very interesting to you. So, again, hammering home the point, how important search is as a part of any digital marketing strategy. And Pakistan is definitely not left behind in with regards to the increase and the impact of search. Okay, so if you're going to think about search, the first thing to actually bear in mind is why is it that it is important? Because we're living in an age, in a digital age, in the internet age, in the age of digital marketing, where the consumer journey and the customer journey is actually very different from what it used to be. The consumer journey throughout the cycle of a consumer is actually very important to understand for advertisers, for you to be successful in reaching the customers that you want to reach. Now, we're talking about Pakistan specifically. Pakistan has one of the highest smartphone penetrations in the world. If you look at some of the numbers that we do get from external research, it's close to about 3 smartphones per on average per person, per individual. So that shows that the smartphone penetration is very, very high. That means that everybody is online a lot. Now, here there's another pair of fact that you're seeing on this is that people check their phones 150 times a day. That's a huge number. 150 times a day, people are checking their phones. Combine that with another fact that we also have that I can share with you is that users spend about 177 minutes on their phones per day. That's almost 3 hours of their waking hours that they're spending on the phone every day. Now, that's a pretty fascinating reality when it comes to thinking about the ecosystem of the digital ecosystem in Pakistan. Mobile sessions, each session that average only about a minute and 10 seconds long, that those length of sessions, those length of short-ish sessions happen dozens and dozens of times per day for every user. So what that means is that there's really not enough time, right? Like, it's hard to believe that there's time for anything else. The underlying driver of this change is the smartphone. So what are consumers doing on the smartphone? As you can see from this outline, what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that throughout a given day, one particular user goes through various different moments in the day involving their smartphone and involving a lot of times search on their smartphone, starting from waking up to reading the news, to getting on a bus and researching something on a sale, to be playing a game at lunch online while waiting in line for their food, to checking bus schedules, to checking movie tickets, to checking directions, to everything that encompasses throughout the actions that throughout the day of a user, are very different and do encompass and do use the smartphone. So there's many actions and many points in which the smartphone comes into play in the average user's day. So when you look at the data, it becomes very hard to argue that the fact that the new product research process has largely moved online. What is the product research process? It's the process that a customer goes through before making any decision with regards to buying anything. So instead of relying on multiple visits to a store, a customer now, or going through, like, say, report magazines or classified ads through a newspaper, customers are finding all the answers they need sitting right at home, at a desk, at the couch, while waiting for a bus, while waiting for their food. They're doing this on their smartphones. So digital technology has actually leveled the playing field, providing customers with access to information that they've never had before, allowing them to do their research more thoroughly, more detailed, and more quickly, and to compare and shape their consideration set. So making it much faster and much easier for them to come up with a set of options that they would like to pursue. And they're more informed and they're more empowered than they've ever been before. So it's important to understand this reality of the customer journey. So when it comes to marketing in your digital marketing landscape, the better you understand your customer journey, the more effective that you're likely to be when it comes to marketing to them. So the customer journey also encompasses various stages throughout the day. If we think about just simply, so the previous slide was more about just throughout a day what that customer journey is. But if you look at the lifetime of a purchase, from the initial decision of a customer to buy something, to want to buy something, and then to ultimately buy something, a product that they want, and then to buy again. That consumer journey is what we have represented here by this particular funnel. So when it comes to this process of actually converting and purchase, the first step is awareness. Awareness essentially means the exposure to a brand, meaning this is the stage in which the customer has just made a decision to want to buy something. Let's say I want to buy a car. This initial stage, where what would play most importantly in the mind of this customer is the exposure to a brand, the different brands of cars that are available, or the different brands that they already know, and the different brands that they would research or find out about. So this is the place where you have to, it's important to grab the attention of the customer to be able to enter the search funnel with them, the purchase funnel with them. The second stage is consideration. So this is where, after exposure to brands, the customer actually would do active research to compare different brands and different products against each other. This is where the perception of the consumer is shaped, where they consider the different options that they have available. And out of the options, it's important that you appear as one of those options, and you appear strongly as that option, both as brand and as well as intentional search. Next, the customer would take action. That action is the purchase. During that purchase process, the important thing here is to influence that consideration. That the role of you as a successful marketer would be to enter in that section, in that stage of the process, and then be able to influence the consideration they make with regards to the purchase. And it is in this stage that the purchase actually happens. However, does the journey end right after the purchase? Many advertisers actually look at it that way, and as in the purchase happened and then the journey is over. However, that is a mistake, because there is a stage of building loyalty. There is a repeat purchase phase that does happen as well, in which you can also capitalize on the customer base that you've already created to entice and then retain consumers to be part of your purchase funnel once again. So this is a breakdown of the customer journey with regards to what the customer is going through at each stage of this journey. Now, how can you come in at each stage of this journey is also important to realize and understand. And every stage will have its own unique characteristics. Here you can see a breakdown that we have done into how you can apply the different channels of marketing that are available for Google, through Google, at these different stages of marketing. So when it comes to the brand stage, the first two stages were the building brand awareness and the influence that you want to influence the consideration of the customer. That is really where your branding is really important. You want the customer and the consumer to remember your brand throughout these two stages. You want your brand to be at the top of their mind so that their consideration is, when their consideration, at times for their consideration, that your brand is actually there on their mind. Towards the brand marketing, the products that are generally most useful and are kind of catered towards brand marketing are YouTube and the GDN, the Google Display Network platform. These are very powerful brand building, brand awareness tools. This is campaigns that are focused on reach, essentially more about spreading to as many people, as many impressions as possible, rather than clicks. There is different kinds of content you can disseminate through this: videos, display ads, image ads, engagement ads, a lot of different options. And here also you have the opportunity to conduct things like brand lift studies, where you can actually see how strong your brand is compared to other brands. Then in the next two stages, where the user is actually taking the action, where the purchase happens, where the repeat purchase happens, this is the stages that follow after the user has already done the research, has already considered the brand. Therefore, it is the user's action which then drives these two stages, meaning the user has to go in and actually type in something, a search, or do an action by which they express intent to purchase something in these two stages. And that's why the products that are involved in this stage are different from what is involved in the first two stages. So in this stage, the Google AdWords, the search marketing platform, would be very key, as well as Gmail when it comes to Gmail ads that are pushed out into Gmail accounts as well, and as well as Play, where ads can also be shown on apps. So this is data-driven creatives with CTA. So call to actions, meaning ads that actually entice users to take a specific action, which is be it purchase, be it fill out a form, be it follow this lead, or whatever that might be. This stage is also where audience tracking comes in, audience tracking and insights. More specifically, around the last stage where we've already gathered a base of consumers, audience tracking is about remarketing. This is a topic we'll cover later in the series, so I don't want to go into too much detail now. And here is where the conversions happen. These two stages are also where conversions are happening, and you can actually bid according to conversion, cater your strategy according to conversion, make adjustments and optimizations based with the goal of driving more conversions. So that was the general search funnel that we were talking about. Sorry, the purchase funnel. Now, as I was saying, in that funnel, search ads come into a very specific place. Search ads are more around the third and the fourth position in that funnel, because search ads require users to take action, which is conduct a search. Now, how does search work? The AdWords system is designed to match a user's query, meaning what they search, with the ad that is most suitable for the user based on context. Google is designed towards the positive user experience. That means our machines, our systems, everything that's in place is designed to make sure that the search query that a user has results in the most relevant ads that we can determine based on that, and based on context. So what is context of a user in this case? To just define it a bit, context includes all the circumstances and factors related to the user that makes a particular user unique. No two users are the same. Every user has their own determination, has their own process of calculation, has their own preferences, has their own factors. And all these factors are what we call context. And these are many, many, many different factors. Some of them are like location, time, time of the day of the week, other factors like device they're using. Sorry, time is repeated again, my mistake. Search history as well, meaning what they have done before, amongst many other factors. So there's numerous different factors that decide the context. And of course, another part, an integral part of the context, is also the search query. Search query is also what defines what the context of a user is. Now, based on that, essentially, based on the context of a user, ads are given an ad rank for a particular search query. So when a search query occurs, the system goes through a huge number of calculations very fast to go through the whole available interface, available universe of ads to find the ad that is most relevant to that particular search, and then it ranks those relevant ads in terms of their relevance, in terms of their context, and gives each of these an ad rank. Now, how does ad rank work? It's very important to understand and break that down. Ad rank essentially is a combination of a few things. Firstly, it's the maximum bid that you are bidding at that moment for that search, including the quality score, which is generally given at the keyword level, the quality score of the keyword, and combining that with the impact of extensions and format, meaning how well, how fully equipped your ad is with extensions and other formats. That'll also impact it. Breaking it down a little bit further, ad rank, like I was saying, three different factors. First, the max CPC bid. Now, this is the bid that you set in your account. You can set bids for search. Bids can be set at the keyword level by going into individual keywords. That is if you're doing it at manual CPC bidding in your campaign level. However, you can also set bids at different levels. If you're using an automatic bid strategy, you're setting bids for that strategy. Essentially, you're setting the maximum bid for that strategy. The max CPC bid is essentially your expression of the maximum that you're willing to pay for a particular click. That is what determines that your bid is going forward. Now, let's say you set a bid for $1. Does that mean that you're gonna pay $1 every time? No, I just want to bust a myth here. $1 bid, meaning that that's the maximum you're willing to pay. But if your competitor, your nearest competitor after that is bidding at 50 cents, the maximum you have to pay to win that is 51 cents. So setting a high bid doesn't mean you're going to pay high unless the competition obviously is really high like that. But if you set a high bid and the rest of the competition is at a lower level, doesn't mean you'll be paying that amount of the bid. So it's important to set a bid that is high enough to be able to compete in the ad search so that your ad rank is strong. The other factor, as I was mentioning previously, is the format and the extension. So these are ad extensions, and by format we mean how full and how complete the ad is with regards to extensions. I don't want to go into too much details about this. Our next webinar actually is going to be specifically on extensions and the format. So do tune in for that. The third factor is the ad quality and the quality score. So this is what I was referring to with regards to the keyword quality score. Generally, the keyword quality score is a very important determining factor when it comes to the ad rank. And the keyword quality score is actually determined by three other factors, which are important to know. One of them is ad relevance. This means how closely is a keyword related to the ad that you have in an ad group. If you have keywords in an ad group that are, for example, blue shoes, blue slippers, blue shirts, yeah? And in that same ad group, you have ads for red shoes, red slippers, red shirts. That is not a high ad relevance between your keyword and your ads. So always important to remember, ad relevance is highly dependent on how closely your keyword list relates to the ads that are there in your ad group. Secondly is the expected CTR. Now, this is the expected click-through rate of particular keywords that you choose. This is based on historical performance data of certain keywords that are based on not only your account, they're actually based on data on the entirety of the search platform. This is one thing that's actually not very easy to control, as in the control of the expected click-through rate. You can't really improve it dramatically by yourself. So it's important to actually choose keywords that have already a high enough expected click-through rate. Sometimes you can choose keywords and put it in your account, and you might see a status that says low search volume. Those are keywords that have very low expected click-through rates, and therefore it's showing that status. So we'd recommend avoiding such keywords. Expected click-through rate can also improve if your CTR in your account slowly, progressively improves. So it's important to work towards that, improving your CTR. And the third factor, also very important, can't stress this enough, that impacts ad rank and ad quality score, and then therefore ad rank, is the landing page relevance But I would say landing page experience, not simply just relevance, but the experience as a whole. Now, what do we mean by this? Landing page is a page that your ad leads to. So when a user clicks on your ad, they're led to your landing page. Firstly, it's important that this landing page is relevant to the keyword and the ads that cause the user to reach this. Now, for example, if you're going back to the same example as the shoes, if your ad is about red shoes, your keywords are about red shoes, but the landing page you're leading a user to is about black socks, obviously that's low relevance. And that kind of a mismatch of relevance will cause your quality score to be low. So definitely pay attention to choosing the appropriate landing pages for the ads that you are creating. Avoid having generic same landing page across all the ads. Avoid doing that because you're not really capitalizing on the possibility of segmenting your landing pages by the types of ads. Second thing that impacts landing page, this particular factor, is the landing page experience. Now, this is generic evaluation of how good your landing page is. This includes things like, does it load fast? Is it easy to navigate? Is it easy to view on all devices? Does it load properly on a mobile? Is it easy navigable? Is it mobile optimized? Is the content relevant? Is there enough information there? All of these factors, many different factors that are used to see whether the landing page experience of a user is positive. It's very important to optimize websites. I know that's something outside of AdWords, but it does impact how your ads perform. So a lot of you work with clients who might not have the best websites. I would say it's not a bad conversation to have with clients and talk about improving landing page and the landing page experience, making it mobile optimized, because ultimately that will impact how ads perform. Now, going out of AdRank, just thinking about how, so based on, now that we know how AdWords works and how AdRank works, here are 3 tips that are very important to remember when it comes to having success on search advertising. The 3 C's of search advertising. These are create, complement, and capture. Create essentially refers to creation of the ads, the ad creation process. Complementing is related to extensions, how you add more things, additional things to your ads to beef it up, to make it more attractive, to make it more eligible and useful to user. And then finally, capture is how you can get to the right audience that you're targeting and you're looking for, to really narrow down your target user base to be able to reach exactly the users that you're trying to reach. Each of these 3 pillars can be broken down by these actions. Just brief summary of these actions. Under create, a basic thing is create 3 ads in an ad group. I'm going to go in more details later. Optimize for your ad rotation, for the details to come. Complement, I was talking about, is around extensions. Make your ads relevant based on extensions. With extensions, add at least 1 extension relevant to your business, but I would say actually more than 1. Capture is based on the audience solutions that we have, which includes remarketing, retargeting, also audience lists, interest-based audience lists. So these are things that are important to capture. We were going to cover in this session only around create. So the rest of the session, we will focus on only create when it comes to creating ads. The next session will be talking about complement. And the session after that, which will be 2 weeks from now, we'll talk about capture and audience remarketing. So do tune in for those to come up. Let's focus on create. Now, account structure is essentially what the basis of create is. This is where you can begin. When you begin creating anything, the creation process starts from the bottom. And when you begin with an account, you've just created a new account. Where do you start? You start by structuring and organizing your account. This is a very important factor to consider. Oftentimes, I have noticed a lot of thought has not put behind how to structure an account, but please do ensure that you do so, because it'll determine everything that you do afterwards. If your account is not structured right, later down the line, you might see that you're suffering and you have to redo things. So do bear in mind the structure. Now, just to see an overview of how an account is structured to begin with, at the top level, you have the account. At the account level, you have the ID of the account, the login email by which you use to create the account. Below that, inside the account, then you can create campaigns. inside, yeah, and each campaign can have different goals or methods, which I'll go into in the next slide. And inside the campaigns are what we create ad groups, and inside ad groups are made up of basically ads and keywords. So this is the basic structure of an account, of any AdWords account that you might look at. Um, just seeing an example of this basic structure into a particular business here. So we have here Tiffany's rings. It's a business that sells rings, different kinds of rings. So what they have decided to do here when it comes to making their account structure is interesting to note. We see that Tiffany's rings has broken down their campaigns into different types of products: wedding rings, engagement rings, also a campaign on special deals, special kind of rings, and then another campaign simply on pushing their own brand. Okay, this is just an example that we're going through as Tiffany's rings. So this is one logic that one can follow. And so if you do your campaign breakdown like this, under wedding rings, you'll have more ad group breakdown for those wedding rings. So gold rings, silver rings, engagement ring, again, gold engagement, silver engagement rings. Special deals are things like on special occasions or discount deals or anniversary deals, things like that. Brand is Tiffany's rings has decided to have a brand campaign in which they have keywords in different ad groups for their own brand keywords and then their competitor keywords. So this is one structure logic that one can follow, but you're not stuck to any particular structure. Basic point here is decide on a structure that works for you, that is aligned with your marketing strategy, and employ that structure towards the goals that you have decided to achieve. The campaign structure should reflect the overall marketing strategy that is employed. And that doesn't have to be the same for all businesses. That can be very different for different businesses. So here we have a few examples of business types that can choose to have different kinds of business structures. So let's say a clothing retailer, for example. Let's say, okay, so we have clothing retailer, meaning all clothes, men's clothing as a business type, only specializing in men's clothes. Then we have a tourist destination or a resort as a business type. And finally, we have a movie ticket seller as a business type. Okay, so those are the business types. Now, what kind of structure can these businesses decide to adopt? For the clothing retailer, one way to adopt a structure is the audience-based campaigns, meaning it's based on the kind of target audience that you're trying to reach. For the men's clothing, let's say, one can do a product-based campaigns. For the tourist destination, let's say, one can do location target-based campaigns, meaning where are you showing your ads? Movie ticket seller can do a time-based campaign. So depending on the strategy one chooses to follow. Now, if we were to say these businesses went along with these structures that I suggested here, what would their campaign examples look like? Let's say for the clothing retailer, if they're going by audience-based, then a logical campaign breakdown is men's, women's, children's, maternity, elderly as a campaign breakdown. Men's clothing, let's say just the men's clothing. If they want to do a product-based campaign, then they can break their campaigns down by shirts, t-shirts, kurta, hats, shawls, things like that. A tourist destination, that is a location which are marketing and trying to get tourists to come to their business. They might want to target different countries in different ways. So maybe their campaign is broken down by their target country. So they might have a campaign for Europe. They might have a different campaign for North America, different campaign for Asia. And each campaign gives them the opportunity to set ad scheduling, gives them the opportunity to set different kinds of ads, different kinds of marketing strategies for different countries, different regions. So that could be a logic that a tourist destination follows. Similarly, let's say a movie ticket seller. This is a very time-based business. So movie times are really the driving force behind the sales of movie tickets. So they might want to have their campaigns done differently. They might have weekend campaigns or weekday afternoon campaigns or weekday evening campaigns, depending on what the structure of the business is. So what I'm basically trying to say here, there isn't a one size fits all. However, there is need for a structure. What that structure is, think through with your business team, your development team, your strategic team as to what is the best structure to adopt for what what product and what client that you're working with. Every client, it's really useful. One useful exercise to sit with your client and really understand their goals. What are they trying to do? Where do they want to reach? Where do they think their customers are? Where do they think their value proposition is? What is the added value of their product? So these conversations are going to help you understand what is the structure that will be best fit. Now, let's say we go with a structure, a business type of the toy store. I just want to break down a bit more. So after you say there's a campaign structure, how do you then do the ad group structure? So the ad group structure should follow on from the campaign structure. So depending on what campaigns you decided, the ad groups inside it will vary. Right? Understanding that each ad group has its own set of ads and keywords. So let's say a business type of toy store, they might have done product-based breakdown, a product structure. So they have a campaign for video games, they have a campaign for superhero toys, they have a campaign for puzzles. Then the ad groups inside those could have to do with specific breakdowns within those campaign structures. So the video games, you might break down by Spider-Man, Star Wars, superheroes also by the products that they're offering. This is one way to imagine how breakdown can happen. Again, like I'm saying, not one size fits all. Just make sure that you think through the strategy you want to apply and then reflect your campaign structure in that with that strategy. We're talking a bit about ad groups there. Ad group structure, like I was saying, ad groups are where keywords and ads are hosted. Ad groups should be used also by breaking down by as many ways as you're able to do. Now, in that same example, as we see, if we say that there's just that advertiser simply goes from one campaign and has just one ad group in every campaign. Inside that ad group are a whole bunch of different keywords mixed up all together. Spider-Man toys with Star Wars clothes, with Matrix Xbox, with Lord of the Rings t-shirts, everything jumbled up together. Now, this is a bad ad group structure. This is not the ideal ad group structure. You will not see good performance if everything is jumbled up and not categorized. This is better. This is a better way to do it would be to break it down. Here, they're breaking it down by movie toys, movie video games, and movie gear. Now, this is a better structure. So in the movie toys, they have everything related to Spider-Man toys, Lord of the Rings toys, Matrix toys, whatever it is. Movie video games, again, those movie themes around their video game products, and movie gears and t-shirts and pajamas and costumes also together with all of them together. Now, this is better than the previous structure, but I would say this is not the best. You can go even more granular. Remember, the more granular you get, the more control you get over your keywords and ads, the better performance you will see. I think this would be the best kind of structure. So you have separate ones for Spider-Man toys, a separate one for Star Wars toys, separate one for Matrix toys, separate one for Spider-Man video games. So that the most degree that you can break down granularly, do so, because that gives you the best way to structure your account and the best control over keywords and ads. Tightly themed list of keywords for each ad group, highly relevant ad text for landing page, meaning every ad in the Spider-Man toys ad group, your landing page should go to the Spider-Man's page, and your ads should talk about only Spider-Man. So this is one way to break down. So basic point is mirror. You can mirror the website structure. That's one way to look at it. But basic point is get as granular as possible to have the most control. So that logic can apply to various different businesses. Understanding and planning your account structure based on your business goals is very important. Here we have a couple of examples for photography business that can break down by wedding, portrait, events, and then inside it have ad groups for different things: photographer, preview photographer, etc. Then another example, food and beverage business, that can break down by desserts, beverages, snacks, many different options. It doesn't always have to be product based. It can be many different based. Basically, have a plan, have a structure, follow it, and you will see success. Secondly, keyword selection. Choosing the right keywords is very important as well. Now, some of the tips that we can share here with regards to keyword selection is, firstly, think like a customer when you create a keyword list. It is important to understand what your audience is, what your market is, and what would your market be searching if they're searching for your product. If you want them to see your ad, what is it that they're likely to be searching? What kind of search phrases or words can they have? So think like a customer. Select more general specific keywords depending on your budget. Group similar keywords into themes and ad groups. This is again going back to what we were saying before. If you do the campaign structuring, ad group structuring right, this third point automatically falls into place. Pick the right number of keywords. We recommend around 10 to 15 keywords per ad group, which is a healthy number to have. Now, I just want to go through the different keyword match types. There are different types of keywords that you can use in AdWords. One of them, the first type, is the broad match keyword. Now, that has the greatest coverage, meaning it can capture the biggest number of searches. The next is a phrase match. It's a bit more narrowed than broad. Then there's the exact match. It is the most narrowed kind of search that you can have. And there's the negative keyword, which is actually a keyword by which you can exclude searches. Okay, now we're going to go a little bit further into this. Start with exact match. Now, exact match keywords only show when someone searches exactly that keyword. There is no rule. So, for example, if your keyword is women's hat as exact match, it'll only show for women's hats or women's hat. It won't show for buy women's hats or women's hats on sale, things like that. So exact match is the most narrowly targeted keyword that you can have as a match type. These generally have less impressions and clicks than broad match, but it's the best approach for tight control and very targeted marketing. Now, this will depend on where you're trying to reach with regards to the type of keywords. We'll go elaborate a bit more on the types of keywords and why to use them. Next, going to phrase match. This is a little less narrow than the exact match keywords. Phrase match, by the sound of it, as you can see, is more catered towards using towards capturing specific search phrases. Phrases can be something like buy women's hat or price of women's hat. These are phrases that are action phrases that users use to do their research, to look at the different options that they have and be on the search network. Phrase match keywords are a good way for you to enter those particular searches. They are less narrow than exact match. The traffic is less targeted compared to that, but provides increased relevancy than broad match. Broad modifier is actually a match type by which you can tell the system to make sure that a specific word is included in the search for that keyword to be triggered. That is done by putting a plus sign before the keyword. If you put a plus sign before the keyword, that keyword basically will not be triggered unless that search term has that keyword in it. In what cases would you want to do that? Let's say you have a door lock repair shop, like a house door. Okay, you're a locksmith. Your specialty is repairing house door locks. If you just entered the keyword door lock repair, you might get searches for car door lock repair, window door lock, crate door lock, many kinds of door repairs. But if you want to only do house door, if you only want to be searched for house or home door repairs, then you can put the keyword house or home and put a plus in front of them. That means your keyword will not be triggered unless house or home is in the search. So words in a broad match keyword preceded by plus must be in the query for it to show up. Then greatest coverage that you get is from the broad keywords. And this is essentially the default keyword setting. If you create a keyword and don't put any quotations or brackets or pluses on it, the default keyword is the broad match keyword. Now, this is the widest reach. The terms can come in any order. If you have multiple words as broad match keywords, it could be the system can trigger only for one of the words matching with the search. It captures the highest volume of impressions and traffic, but it doesn't get targeted. It can get irrelevant as well. So oftentimes I do notice new advertisers, it's very tempting to simply go by the broad match keywords because you see the most impressions happening there. But eventually you realize, yes, you're getting the impressions, but people are not clicking on it and you're not getting visits. That's because your broad match keywords can often lead to showing up for irrelevant searches. So the important thing is to use these match types in a successful way and a combination. The last type is the negative keywords. Like I was saying, this is a type of keyword that you include in order to filter out irrelevant searches. So remember, as I was saying, the broad match,
you're likely to get irrelevant searches if you're simply relying on broad match. A way to get those irrelevant searches out of your search queries, search universe, is to have negative keywords. So excludes irrelevant search queries, especially useful way to filter your search traffic if your account has many broad match keywords. So all these keyword matchups important to understand and use as you do. Now, when it comes to a business, let's say we're looking at the business that you're setting up, a client that you have. How would you think about choosing the keywords? Out of those, let's keep the match types aside for now. Let's just talk about the types of keywords you would choose. One way that we think is very effective to think about the keyword choices is looking by this category: brand, product category, generic action phrases, and competitors. What do these mean? Brand keywords were essentially relate to the brand of that you're using. So that'll be your own brand. In this example, let's say we have a watchmaker. The brand of the watchmaker is things like Rolex, Timex, or Swatch. Yeah, that is the brand. So you can have ad groups in which you simply focus on brand keywords. Another different kind of ad group you can have is the generic category keyword. So where brand is a specific brand, the category of the product is watches, men's watches, ladies' watches, wall clocks, any time devices. So that is at the product category level. Then you can have action phrases as keyword groups as well. So these are things that users will type when they're looking for something, when they want to do something, when they're researching. So things like buy men's watches, or where to buy stylish ladies' watches, or the price of wristwatches, or what is the best watch. These are generic action phrases that customers employ during research phase, and that is another subgroup of keyword types that you should bear in mind about. Then finally, another group of keywords that you can have as ad groups is the competitor keyword terms. So for Rolex, if you're Rolex, then the competitor terms would be Timex and Swatch. For Timex, the competitors are Timex and Rolex. So these are one way of imagining the different types of keyword packets that you can make. Now, some of the features of these different packets is to think about. If you're making them like this, just be aware that these keywords go from low ad rank to high ad rank from bottom to the top. So competitor keywords, if you're Timex, let's say, and you're using Swatch as a keyword, but your ads don't have any mention of Swatch because they can't. Your ads mention Rolex, let's say. Your ad mentioned Timex. That means your keyword Swatch and the ad for Timex has low relevance. Therefore, that will have low ad rank. The best ad rank will be if you're Rolex and you have ads for Rolex itself. So Rolex will match. That's the best ad rank. Meanwhile, the product categories and the generic phrase in the middle will have progressively higher and higher ad rank. Then when it comes to the prices, they're actually moving the other way. So the brand keywords, because they're your brand, your ad rank will be higher. Therefore, your CPC will be lower. It'll be cheaper for you to bid on those keywords. While when it comes to competitor keywords, because of the low ad rank, your CPC will be much higher. Much higher to bid on competitor keywords than your own. And then when it comes to product categories and generic actions, that progressively also goes down. So that is one type of keyword way to think about keyword categories. So it's very tempting. I noticed that when it comes to a particular product, advertisers often get blocked into simply having keywords that only relate to that product. If you want to get to the next level of search marketing, be sure to include products that are not direct relations to your product, but are related in other ways. What do I mean by that? Let's say you have a product for luxury watches. Direct keywords would be Rolex, watches, men's watches. But related keywords could be like anniversary gifts. Like when else could somebody be looking for a watch? If they're looking for a gift or an anniversary or a birthday, or let's say repair watches, these are related searches in which you can find potential customers as well. Another product like guitars, the direct keywords are Gibson, electric guitars, cheap practice guitars. Related keywords, someone searching for guitar chords, someone searching for the guitar amp, someone searching for piano lessons. These can be related. These can be potential users, potential customers that you have. Another example, home audio system, JBL speakers, best sound system. Related keywords can be housewarming party, relaxing music, or let's say laptops. Direct keywords are the brand, Apple,
or computers or buy laptops. But related could be somebody who's broken a laptop, right? How to fix a laptop broken. How would it be if you were to be able to show your ad with a discount deal on a particular laptop for someone who's searching for how to fix a laptop? So that's what I mean by related keywords. Don't get stuck in only the direct relations with your product, but also go to the peripherally related keywords. So then, breaking it down, if we are to think about how to do campaign structures based on this logic of the keywords, let's use the example of Rolex watches. Let's say Rolex makes ad groups based on those initial categories of brand, product category, action phrases, competitors, and then related searches, as we were talking about. Based on that, the ad groups will have different kinds of ads. So the brand ad group should have ads that relate to the brand, to Rolex. The product category ad group, where you're having generic mention of simply watches, might not need to have Rolex in it. You can just have luxury watches, fashionable watches. Action phrases ad group, where you have action phrases categories, you should have ads that relate to buy watches or great prices on watches. Competitor, here as well, you can be generic as well, just like action phrases or product category, because you can't really have the competitor. You can't use the competitor title trademarks in the ads. And then related searches as well. Think about how the ads will look based on the related searches that you're choosing. So anniversary gift or best quality laptop, or whatever, however you decide to structure that. So as I was saying, building the right keyword foundation, the basic is these few points that I mentioned before, and as we've gone through now. Now, if you want to get to the next level, there's another thing that you should also bear in mind, the intermediate level. Here, it's important to have these few points. So use the keyword planner tool to find and select new keywords. This is one point. Then improve your click-through rate with negative keywords. This is the second point. Use the search terms report to analyze and further improve on what your top performing keywords and be more competitive. Now, let's elaborate a bit more on this. The keyword planner tool is something that's available in your account. It gives you CPC estimates and keyword ideas based on some input that you put. So let's say if you want to find new keywords and get search volume data, you go there, and there's multiple options as to how to use it. Then if you want to do it by budget or forecast or look by CPC, there's a second section how to do it. I'm not going to elaborate further on this too much, but if you do want to know how to use Keyword Planner, there is useful guides on our help center. You can click on, and then it'll outline for you how to use it. So this again, I just want to break down for you what is a strategy that one can use when it comes to choosing keywords. So getting a good list of keywords requires you to evolve the keyword list over time. It's not simply about a one-time hit. You don't just come up with a list of keywords, the perfect list of keywords the first time, and expect it to work for the entirety of your account. Marketing and online marketing, digital marketing is an evolving dynamic process. Always work on making improvements based on data that you have collected on your account. So that's why one strategy that you can look at is the broad to narrow strategy when it comes to keyword selection. So in this one, first off, let's say you start off with a broad match keyword to maximize the potential to show your ads on relevant searches. So let's say in the beginning, you're more reliant on the broad match keywords and where you can capture more wide searches. I'm moving from left to here, just for your knowledge. I call this stage the gathering stage, right? This is the initial research stage where you're gathering data about the market. Take enough time to do this part. Get enough traffic to see how your generally broad match keywords have performed. Okay. Next, you should be in a stage of evaluation, meaning monitor your performance over time. Here, you should check your keyword performance in your account level. So look at the CTRs that you've been getting. Look at the CPCs you've been getting on the keywords. Look at if they've been getting conversions or not. Look at if some keywords are not getting any traffic at all. Then also look at the search terms report. Now, this is a report inside your account. If you look at any search campaign and go to the keywords tab, there's a sub tab called search terms report. That is a very useful report when it comes to search marketing. It should be your go-to place when it comes to analyzing how your ads are performing. Now, in this phase of evaluation, once you've figured out what is working, what is not working, you should then optimize. You should optimize your keyword list to be even better.
So some things you could do, you could add high performing keywords as exact match keywords. So if you see certain keywords that you right now have as broad, but are getting you most of the traffic and most conversions, put them as exact match. If you have some searches you're seeing that are irrelevant, put them as negative keywords. If you're seeing that certain searches that you don't have as keywords are still bringing you traffic and converting, that tells you that you might have missed out on some keywords. So then look at that report and add new keywords that are relevant forms of search terms. So this is a breakdown of a strategy that you can use as to how to evolve your keyword strategy over time. Again, to narrow the point, there is no one size fits all. There is no, I put up a keyword list and it's perfect and I don't have to change anything at all. It's a very dynamic process. Everything is changing. So do keep monitoring and evaluating. It's always a constant process of improving. All right, finally, going to ad creation. I'm going to quickly go through this. We're kind of coming to the end. Why? Just as I was mentioning before, so it's important to bear in mind that different ads will appeal to different people and in different contexts. What is context? As I was telling you, context is all the unique factors that make a user different from another user. So time, geographic, device, etc. So depending on the combination of the context, the user themselves and the search query, different ads will be more appealing for different users. Oftentimes, I do notice very new advertisers just create one ad copy and just copy it across multiple campaigns and ad groups. Very bad idea to do that because you're really not understanding your market if you're really doing that. Very small changes in ads can have very dramatic impacts on the performance. So we're just thinking about the different kinds of users that are available that are working on that are on the search network. So let's say this one particular user is someone who is searching for the best rates on hotels to plan for a future holiday, and they see 3 different ideas from the same brand. Let's say Expedia. Now, this particular algorithm, this person, the first person, let's say, is a member already of Expedia, and the system knows that. So based on that, they'll be shown a specific kind of ad with maybe discounts or exclusive member discounts. Let's say this person, Carrie, let's give her a name. She's visited a website before, search for Barcelona, let's say, and we can see through Google Analytics and audience list that has happened, and therefore a customized ad highlighting hotels in Barcelona should be what she should be seeing. Let's say that's a more customized ad for her. Aditi is a first-time user, and she has actually never used Expedia. In that case, she would be shown a more generic ad that is more about the brand and just more generalized ad. So all of these 3 users are searching for the same thing. However, each of their experience is different because we have the ability to understand their content, their context, their intent, and their identity. So because each of these users are different, even for the same search query, you should have different ads. You should be prepared for these different users coming to your site. Firstly, create compelling ads. How to create compelling ads? Make sure that all the elements are in place. The ad generally has 3 parts: headlines, description line, and the URL paths. So when you're looking at the headline, make sure that you should introduce your value proposition to the user. Your ad text should highlight what you have, what a user is looking for. Find out what's most compelling about your business and build your ads around that insight. The headlines are the biggest part of the ad. They're big blue headlines. They're prominent. They're more prominent than your description text. So it's very important that you get that perfectly right. So your headline should receive the majority of your attention when you're testing different ads. So if you're doing ad variations and tests, which I recommend you do, play around with the headlines more often than the ad text. Yeah. Then the description line. So this is a part of the ad that you should use to inform and educate the user, where you provide additional information about your product and service. Here, try for the best kind of performance, try and avoid fluff. Users are clever. They understand when you're just writing description lines just to bloat something up, or when you're actually providing information that they're looking for. Tailor your ads and copy in a way to make your ads more likely to answer specific questions that the user might have, address their needs, help them browse more effectively. Avoid generic language like sign up today, book today. I mean, you can have that, you can have some with that, but don't rely on those. It's very helpful to have things like creating a sense of urgency. For example, sale ends soon, things like that. URL paths. Now, this is a section where you can you can outline where the path is that your customer will be led to, and having this visibility is actually very important for a user to know where they're going. So do make sure to use the URL paths effectively. Just to go through a bit more of the best practices of ads for your understanding, rethink your ad. You can take the opportunity here to make ad variations. There are many ways to talk about one particular product. Okay, let's, for example, in this example, we have a tourist destination, let's say Fun Island. Okay, you can talk about Fun Island by saying, visit Fun Island, great discounts and deals. So this is a very pragmatic message. You're appealing to the economic factor of this particular deal. Whereas you can also say, visit Fun Island, take a step into your dreams. Now, this is an emotional message. Now, point I'm making is take the opportunity to think about the different ways you can push your ads, different kinds of messages that can happen around the same product. Not every product. I mean, every product doesn't just have one value proposition. Otherwise, it'll be pants. Wear them. That's it, right? Like pants can be sold with as a lifestyle brand, as a value of the fabric, as a discount, as a for the discerning man, things like that. Like many different ways to have ad messaging. Also think about keywords. Make sure you include your keywords in your ad headlines to strengthen your message and also help the ad relevance. Make sure you have call to action in your ads. These are action statements and phrases that entice a user to take an action, to click or fill out a form or be it whatever, to go to the landing page. Make sure you think cross-device. Now, you want to make sure that your ads look good, both on mobile and on desktop. So when you write out your ads, there's a preview tool that you can see. Make sure that you're looking at both the preview of the ad in desktop and mobile. The length of the lines that you have does affect how it appears. So make sure you test it out and check how they behave. Also, make sure you maximize your space. You get 15 characters URL paths. Make sure you use that. You have 80 characters for a description line. Use that as much as you can. A bigger ad with more space is better to see. Do brand focus ads. So if you do have brands in the ad, make sure you include things like official site or registered trademarks. This improves the authenticity of the ad to the user. Create urgency. So if you have some deals going on, do include that in the ads. Let's say 5 days remaining for discounts to end, things like that. Or spring collection coming to an end or coming soon, things like that. Have those messaging in the ad. Align with the branding. So this is a good way to do that, is to have an honest conversation with your client as to what is the brand that they're trying to promote with regards to their product. Then based on that, what should be the messaging that goes on the ad? So good way is to look at the website and check what the branding the client is using for their branding. It's important to align with their branding goals to get the best results that you want. And then talk about if you have savings or pricings or discount deals, special offers. Make sure you mention them in the ads. That is a very pull factor for people to click on ads. All right. So just again, reiterating, some must-have bad practices. At least 3 ads per ad group. In fact, I would recommend more. Have 5, have 6. It doesn't cost you to have more ads. The more variations you have, the better chances you have of getting better performance. So don't limit yourself, and don't repeat ads, because that's nullifying the purpose of having different ad groups. Often I've seen various campaigns created with ad groups, ads just copied over different ad groups. You're not really utilizing the system if you do that. So here's an example I include of a good ad. A good ad with a clear delivery, headline, description line, really packed well with extensions. The different kinds of offerings are already in there. Somebody who's thinking about, they also have an indication of price, the price range, just call to action. So this is a good ad that instills confidence in a user, provides the user information that they're looking for, makes the brand look authentic. Just think about what this ad would look like if it was just 2 lines and none of those extensions at the bottom. The authenticity of a brand is boosted by these extensions and additions, and increases the chance of click and conversions. Three expanded text ads in every ad group. Why do I say that? This is to make sure that you are using the machine learning that we have in place to optimize the ads. So when you have more ads in an ad group, the ad rotation is automatically going to find the most relevant ad to serve for the particular search that occurs. And this optimization is using the power of machine learning. So make sure you're making use of that power of machine learning. Research that we have done on our side shows that having 3+ ads in an ad group does increase the chances of conversion by about 15%. So don't miss out on this. It's a very basic, easy optimization. Make sure you have at least 3. I recommend more, 3+ ads in every ad group. Rethink your ad creative as well. As I was saying, going back to some of the things that we discussed before, writing at least 3 ads gives you the opportunity to have 3 different ad creatives. Think about the messaging. It's going to pay off. It's proven by data that it does pay off. So small ad variations can make big differences. I know I'm a bit over. I'm just going to hurry through this. Let's say these 2 ads are determined by the time. Visit us today and gifts for birthday party. We can notice for these 2 ads that one of the ads gets a higher CTR during the daytime. The other ads gets a higher CTR during night. Why do you think this might be? It's a very small change in the ad that causes it. It might be that one of the ads, the call to action creates an urgency at the moment. So somebody who sees that it causes urgency, a user who is out during the day could considering visiting because it says visit us today. Seeing today at nighttime does not have the same impact. Similarly, the other ad, why does it perform better at night? Call to action creates a sense of planning for the future, maybe a birthday party coming up. A user who's at home at night would find this message more appealing. Birthday party appeals to someone who might be attending a birthday party in the future, planning to buy gifts. You might also notice another difference in these two ad variations. It might be by device. It might be that the ad on the left is more effective on a mobile, where the ad on the right is on a computer. Why could this be? If the ad is preferred by users during the day while they're out, they're more likely to use it on a mobile device. The ad on the right, if a user is using it at home, more likely to be on a computer. So point I'm making is small ad variations can cause different performance because of different contexts of users. Small changes can have big impact. A brand in headline can cause a CTR increase of about 23%. A price in the headline, a change of about 35%. These are actually tested on our end, so do take them as sampled. So free shipping, including something like free shipping, benefits, discounts, things like that, does have impact on CTR as well. A call to action that's effective can have about an 18% impact on the CTR. Just a case study of a user who has actually tried this. I'm going to skip this in the interest of time. One question that I often get: if my ad text has low CTR, should I pause it? Answer: false. No, don't pause it. It can, when you select your ads to optimize for clicks and conversions, the rotation settings will keep going. Over time, it could be that ad has more better impact. But in a short period of time, if you're looking at it, you don't have enough data to make that decision. So keep it going. Doesn't cost to have more ads in an ad group. Finally, optimize ads for rotation. If you put your best ad forward, your business goals, your ads will perform better. There is automatic ad rotation settings in the campaign level, by which the setting is called optimize. And prefer the best performing ads. It automatically optimizes for clicks or conversions. Basic point here is, if you're setting up a campaign setting, don't avoid setting it at that last setting there where it says rotate indefinitely. The above one is the old interface and the lower one is the new interface. Avoid keeping it at rotate as indefinitely, because that's where you're not using the machine learning and the automated optimization parts of the system. So the reason why we do this, because you don't want to leave your impression to chance. You want to tailor your user to the context that they have. And these factors of having 3 ads and optimizing for rotation is where you make the best impression, because you let the system work it, you give the system the options, and the system actually will optimize for you. Furthermore, to enhance your performance, do take into consideration things like bid adjustments around location, schedules, and device. These are at the campaign level where you can set it. Based on what you're trying to do, make sure you use them to the best of your ability. If you have a campaign that works, you want to push more towards the weekend, do the ad scheduling and increase your bid over the weekend. If you have a campaign that you want to target more towards the urban area or one city over the other, use the location bit adjustment to make those choices. Just to summarize, when it comes to creative excellence, the expanded text ads, you should have at least 3. Extensions, you should have more. We're going to cover that later at the later session, actually the next week's session. And optimize for rotation. Make sure that setting is up. All right, so we have come to the end of our webinar. I hope that has been useful for you. At the moment, I am unable to actually, sorry, apologize. What I would like to encourage all of you is to fill out this survey. This is where you can actually ask some questions as well. Additionally, we do have a chat that's open on next to the video. You will see there's a chat box. You can add some questions there, and I will definitely get to them if possible. Actually, we'd have to end right now because we're over time, but definitely in the near future, I'll get to it. But the best way would be if you do fill out this survey for us, do let us know what's working. Did you like this session or not? Was it useful for you or not? And in that survey at the end, you'll have an option to ask detailed questions. So I recommend using this opportunity on the survey to fill out the survey for us. It helps us to know if it's working, and also to ask questions regarding this topic. The survey link is mentioned below. Sorry, it's a bit convoluted, but if you can, please do write it down. That's https://goo.gl/form/TSLHS-X3S-YZ-PBYLOT2. So would greatly appreciate if you would share your feedback with us. Hopefully this was a useful session for you. Do join us next week. We'll be back same time, Thursday, at that same time that we had today. And our session next week will be on extensions, essentially the complement section of the Create Complement Capture. We'll talk about the complement section. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Bye-bye.